This is the account that boyfriend Brian Hickerson's own brother gave about the final moments of actress Hayden Panettiere's life, including the claim that Hickerson administered Narcan, the opioid overdose reversal drug, in the minutes before she died. Panettiere was found dead on August 16, 2026, in Greenville, South Carolina, at age 36. And here's what has actually been confirmed, what is still just one man's account, and what investigators have not figured out yet. Hayden Panettiere had already spent more than 2 decades in front of cameras by the time this story broke, so it helps to ground who she was first. He broke out playing Claire Bennett on Heroes, then built a career through Nashville, Remember the Titans, the Scream franchise, Raising Helen, and Bring It On All or Nothing, while also spending years voicing characters in the Kingdom Hearts video game series. This was not a rising star's story. Born August 21st, 1989 in Palisades, New York, she carried a long established career into this tragedy. Long before any of this, Panettiere had spoken openly about the rough years behind her. Her memoir, This Is Me, A Reckoning, laid out a struggle with alcohol and opioid addiction, postpartum depression following her daughter's birth, and an abusive relationship she'd survived. Jansen Panettiere, her younger brother and fellow actor, died in 2023 at age 28 from complications tied to an enlarged heart. That loss, she later admitted, hit her both mentally and physically. An agoraphobia followed. Brian Hickerson's history with Panettiere matters here more than almost anything else in this story. Their relationship started on and off back in 2018, not long after Panettiere split from her former fiancé, boxer Vladimir Klitschko, and things turned violent fast. $50,000, that's the bond Hickerson posted in May of 2019 after his arrest on suspicion of domestic violence against her, a case reportedly dismissed later that same year. None of that kept them apart. By November, the two had reconciled. A reunion reporting from the Times says left plenty of Panettiere's family unhappy, and the Hollywood Reporter has stated Hickerson later pleaded no contest to 2 felony charges tied to an assault against her. Panettiere put the escalation bluntly in her memoir, writing that the slaps became hits until, in her words, he busted up her face badly enough that she wouldn't leave the house. That's the backdrop, and here's what happened on August 16th. Zach Hickerson, Brian's brother, later gave TMZ a detailed statement describing how that Sunday actually unfolded, and it started out completely ordinary. He woke up, got dressed, headed to church, and traded messages with Brian about the group, grabbing lunch and playing indoor golf once the service ended. Radio silence from both Brian and Hayden by late morning made him assume they'd simply overslept, so he drove to the Judson Mill Lofts in Greenville, the Airbnb where the couple was staying. Getting inside without a door code, he woke Brian up, and together they found Hayden unresponsive. This is the detail behind most of the recent headlines. Zach says he called 911 while Brian administered Narcan, the nasal spray used to reverse opioid overdoses. That distinction matters here. Here's the thing though, nobody outside the Hickerson family, not the police, not the coroner's office, has confirmed any of it. Friday, August 21st, that's when this account first surfaced, delivered directly to TMZ in a lengthy statement from Zach himself. Police records add a separate layer here, independent of anything Zach told TMZ. Officers with the Greenville Police Department responded to a call about an unresponsive woman around 1:50 to 1:58 that afternoon, according to a redacted incident report, and dispatch audio reportedly referenced both a possible overdose and cardiac arrest. CPR followed immediately, somewhere between 2:31 and 2:32 p.m. depending on which report you read. Panettiere was pronounced dead at the scene. The same report noted Brian Hickerson showed officers a bag of medication he said she'd been taking, and that both brothers appeared visibly emotional throughout. Zach's own statement explains why he spoke up days after her death at all. Too many assumptions, speculations, and accusations were swirling in his words, and the full truth would only surface once investigators released more. 8 years, that's how long he'd known Hayden, and he called her one of his closest friends while admitting he was beyond heartbroken and devastated by the loss. Brian himself has stayed far quieter in public. Sloan Ellis, his attorney, released a brief statement confirming only that the death remains under investigation, repeating what had already been reported. Police found no signs of foul play. Not everyone close to Panettiere reacted the same way either. Leslie Vogel, her estranged mother, spoke to NBC News and didn't hold back, saying, quote, "This person in her life that we have been trying to get rid of for quite some time was with her at her death, and that was Brian Hickerson." None of this came out of nowhere. Vogel and Hickerson had already been openly hostile toward each other, and Hickerson himself had previously told TMZ that Vogel was one of the worst people he'd ever met. Vladimir Klitschko, Panettiere's former fiancé, released his own statement, and his focus wasn't on how she died, but on how she'd be remembered. His family was going through, in his words, a time of profound shock and grief, and he called her death heartbreaking, saying she'd left this world far too soon. 11 years old, that's the age of their daughter Kaya, and Klitschko directed part of his message straight to her, promising, quote, "I will always speak of her mother with respect and make sure she remembers the person she was." Full custody of Kaya went to Klitschko back in 2018, a decision Panettiere later called one of the hardest of her life. Here's where the investigation actually stands. The Greenville County Coroner's Office completed an autopsy the day after her death and confirmed no signs of trauma contributed to it. Cause and manner of death, though, remain officially pending. 8 to 12 weeks, that's how long toxicology testing can reportedly take, and that single test is what would actually confirm or rule out an overdose, which means nobody outside the investigation currently knows what killed her. Neither Brian nor Zach Hickerson has been accused of any wrongdoing. This is where things stand right now. Confirmed, Hayden Panettiere died on August 16th in Greenville, South Carolina. With both Brian and Zach Hickerson present, police found no signs of foul play, and dispatch audio referenced a possible overdose. Unconfirmed whether Narcan actually made a difference that day, since that detail traces back to one family member's account to a tabloid, not to police or the coroner. Weeks, not days, that's the actual timeline before an official cause of death gets confirmed. Her documented history and the abuse that defined so much of her relationship with Hickerson explain why this story pulled in so much reaction so fast. The responsible move now is patience, waiting for what the toxicology report actually says instead of treating one relative's account as the final word. We'll update this the moment the coroner's office releases anything official.